How's it going, y'all? My name is Aiden Anderson, and this is the Moscow Minutes. I'll be bringing you the latest from the Latah County Commissioner meetings from the week of May 8th, 2022. Some highlights from this week include property tax exemptions, a tax deed property auction, and a presentation from One Palouse, formerly known as the Palouse Knowledge Corridor. Let's get into it. First, on Monday, the Commissioners approved a Latah County Parks and Recreation volunteer camp host agreement with the host of a local campsite before moving into some developers' land exemption applications. One of these, for Ridgeview Estates, saw 7 of its lots approved for exemption, with the rest denied. The Commissioners withheld making a decision on the second one for the Rolling Hills 9th edition based on the fact that the property had actually not been platted yet, and they wanted to get advice from their legal counsel before moving forward with it. Next up, a big round of property tax exemptions. This set was a mix of approvals and denials, with 2 decisions being withheld until Wednesday so that the Commissioners could receive more information from the applicants on the properties. Those that were denied included Church of the Nazarene in Moscow, where most of their parcels were approved, but one parcel was denied based on the fact that it is being leased to a cell tower. A second that was denied was Pomona Grange number 17, which required a leadership conversation with the Commissioners. Another denial was the Gamma Theta chapter of Kappa Sigma and the Friendly Neighborhood Club, both of which are currently unoccupied properties and therefore ineligible for property tax exemption. There was also Mercy Moscow Incorporated, which also does not qualify under exemption standards, and the Troy Deary Gun Club, whose situation relates to the category of property tax exemption under which they applied, and which the Commissioners are hoping to address in person in a conversation in a Board of Equalization meeting. The specifics of that were the Troy Deary Gun Club applied under the education status, which has very specific requirements for meeting the exemption standards, and the Commissioners are hoping to have a conversation because it has been approved in the past, just to make sure that all of those standards are met. The Commissioners then approved a retail alcohol beverage license with the U of I Vandal store before going into executive session for an attorney-client communication, indigent meeting, and a personnel issue. After that, the Commissioners held a tax deed auction for 2 small parcels of land. The first, a plot of land in Troy, had a minimum bid of $749.61, and it sold for $1,100. The second, a plot of land in Helmer, had a minimum bid of $1,008.99, and it sold for $20,000. After the auction was done, the Commissioners went off the record for a bit and then returned to approve a property rezone for a 4.5-acre parcel before going into executive session for a personnel annual review. Last on Monday, the Commissioners approved and signed a notice of objection letter for the acquisition of the property located at 1313 South Blaine Street in Moscow. This is the property that the county recently began steps to acquire and which the Commissioners are hoping to use as a new DMV and licensing facility. So why this notice of objection? Well, until all of the paperwork goes through, the county will actually be leasing from the current owners of the building. The county's legal team is going back and forth to refine, clarify, and adjust elements of the lease agreement alongside the current property owners until the county fully acquires the property. So this notice of objection is just part of the back and forth, indicating that at some point, some part of the lease agreement, the county cannot legally comply, and that part of the agreement needs to be adjusted until the county can actually sign it. They'll go back and forth until a new lease agreement can be reached. Finally, Monday's proceedings ended with an executive session for an indigent meeting. Wednesday's meeting was not quite in the same order as the agenda laid out. Okay, let's not do that. Wednesday's meeting was not quite in the same order as the agenda laid out, based on an earlier state tax commission meeting that the county was participating in that went longer than expected. Therefore, the commissioners began with a water rights application discussion, which resulted in an adjustment to the original application, reducing the amount of water that the applicant was applying for. This was followed up by a quick update from the head of the Planning and Building Department. The commissioners then approved a 4-H show contract, a Public Defense Council financial assistance application, a letter to the ice rink regarding their location change, and a court-appointed counsel professional services contract. The commissioners then revisited some items that had been brought up on Monday. The first, the land exemption application from Monday, was found to actually not qualify for an exemption, and so it was at last denied. The other two were property tax exemptions that the commissioners wanted more information on. For the first, regarding the Fries Church Fries Cemetery, the commissioners received clarifying information, and so they were actually able to approve it. For the second, regarding Orphan Acres Incorporated, the commissioners still had not received the information that they needed, and so they were forced to deny it in the hopes that they can have an in-person discussion about it at a Board of Equalization meeting. The commissioners then went into their weekly review, where they each gave an update on what they've been up to during the past week, before going off the record for a short time. Last on Wednesday, the commissioners heard a presentation from Last on Wednesday, the commissioners heard a presentation from One Palouse, formerly known as Palouse Knowledge Corridor. They are revamping their efforts regarding connecting local entrepreneurs to local resources in order to further economic development on the Palouse for the future. A representative, Rich French, gave an update as regards the organization's new strategic plan and upcoming events that the organization is hoping to host in the future. After hearing this presentation, the commissioners went off the record for the day. And that's the latest from the Latah County Commissioners. As always, we'll have the relevant links posted with this video, and if you have any questions, let us know. This is Aiden Anderson with the Moscow Minutes. See you next time.